This is where we see them trying to loot Donald Trump's assets, his wealth. And this is a mockery of competence. It's a mockery of capitalism. The reason they disdain capitalism isn't because, oh, they're just taught to be socialists. It's far deeper than that. Marxism, the underlying philosophy of the left, actually requires them to denounce notions of meritocracy. They say that meritocracy doesn't exist. That's the reason they think that it's acceptable to think there can be equality of outcome, which they label equity. That's what DEI is. That's what diversity, equity, and inclusion is. That's what that's their motto. But you can't get there unless you substantiate a left-wing tyranny, which is what they're trying to do. They don't believe in capitalism. So when they see embodiments of capitalism, embodiments of success, embodiments of meritocracy, embodiments of excellence, which reciprocally judge their inadequacy as they deny that truth exists, that reality exists, that meritocracy exists, they get enraged by that. When they see Trump Tower, make no mistake about it, the AP News is owned by the machine. It's owned by the Matrix. They choose their thumbnails on purpose. Look at this, Trump Tower. It's their thumbnail for a reason. They are mocking the idea of objective excellence, of capitalism, of meritocracy. They want to tear it down. They don't build anything, they tear it down. They are anti-humanity. That's the reason why Elon Musk says the woke mind virus is anti-humanity. Their arguments are so bad, their arguments are so divorced from reality, their arguments are so nonsensical that they have no option but to say you cannot vote or elect anyone that we disagree with because we can't debate ideas. Our ideas are so indefensible, they're so horrible that we can't explain to you why they're good and why you should vote for us. The only thing we can do is say you're a bad person unless you agree with us blindly. Okay, guys, it's time to record this video. The left has essentially forced the situation into such absurd loops that it's unavoidable. I'm talking about, of course, the entire debacle of Trump's political persecution and complete unfair justification. Now, I'm going to have to refer to Trump as Donald, and I don't even know if that's going to make a difference, but YouTube is a very communist organization. They like to censor videos, and so I think that maybe if I refer to the president as Donald rather than Trump, the video might do better, but I don't know. My videos have been getting throttled, and for those of you who don't know, that means that they're not being shown to as many people as they normally would be, so I'm basically being targeted. To help combat that, you can subscribe to the channel. That way you're more likely to see the videos that I put out. Anyway, the left has always had this tyrannical predisposition, but it has accelerated in its insanity and immorality this year, and I think will continue to just crescendo until the election, and maybe go beyond that if and when there is a good result, because the left has fundamentally divorced themselves from reality, and what that means is they no longer care about playing the same game as us. They don't care about truth, they don't care about morality, they don't care about objective frameworks. All they care about is demonization and maintaining the structures they have, the chaotic, corrupt structures, to label, discredit, and demonize any person that doesn't agree with their woke ideology as an oppressive, corrupt enemy. There is a lot to cover here, and I've been watching this unfold over the last several days as I've been recording these videos. There are 4 central elements to this which need to be addressed. First is that this NYC corrupt judge is trying to loot Donald. They're trying to pillage his wealth, the wealth that he has created. The second is that the justice system is under attack in America and must be saved. That is the second element, which, is going to require a lot of analysis. The third is they are preparing a landscape in America to nullify the efforts of capitalism and meritocracy. And the fourth is they are celebrating and reveling in incompetence. There's a lot I'm going to show you. There's a lot of pieces of information I'm going to tie together for you here, and this might be a longer video, but it's a video that's necessary. It's a video that I wish wasn't required, because in America you don't think that there's going to be this level of blatant immorality and corruption. You grow up thinking, at least I did, you grow up thinking that it's not possible, that those are just other countries that have that type of corruption, but no, the left is an existential threat to civilization. So this starts with the political persecution, where the judge is trying to claim that Mar-a-Lago is worth $25 million, when to just replace the land would cost north of $500 million, $500 million. And so there you see the admission that they don't care about reality, they don't care about objective math, they don't care about numbers. They have no regard for the mechanisms that actually depict truth. All they care about is Trump is bad man, therefore we can lie. As a matter of fact, to them, lying doesn't even exist because as members of Marxism, they are granted, in their mind, immunity and are the arbiters of what truth is, because truth can only be the construction of the left-wing premises in order to undermine and deny any presupposition that gets in the way of their ideology. Latita James, who I'll throw a picture up of her, she's rather incompetent and riddled with resentment. She's completely destroyed, and she admitted that she was running in order to persecute Trump. She said that her life goal was to go after Trump, and you see that, especially as a degenerate woman who's been destroyed by the woke mind virus, she's humiliated herself in a sense, because with her actions, she has excluded any person being on her side that is capable of math, capable of thinking, and she's ensured that any person that supports her doesn't care about reality at all. You can see this from the countless examples where she disregards reality, but what I'm talking about specifically is just on the surface, them trying to pretend that Donald Trump's estate in Mar-a-Lago is worth $25 million. If you go onto any real estate website and look at the surrounding properties, just what the land is valued at, in order to replace Mar-a-Lago, just to acquire the land that Mar-a-Lago is on, would cost more than $500 million. That's more than 20 times what they are claiming the estate is worth. So you can see how laughably absurd it is. And in that absurdity, you can find their disregard for reality and also their arrogance and narcissism. This is only where this situation begins in terms of the illegitimacy of their persecution. There are greater developments which all tie together, which this video is about. That's what I'm going to show you here. 2 days ago, it was breaking news. This judge, this corrupt judge that's been oh, by the way, this is the same judge that posts really creepy shirtless photos on his high school get-together page or whatever. It's really weird. All these leftists are deranged and insane. But check this out. He said that Trump will not be allowed to give closing arguments in his civil fraud trial. For those of you who don't know, civil is different than criminal. In criminal, you get to cross-examine people, you get to bring any witnesses that you think are relevant, and it's more of an official trial. In a civil trial, you saw this with Alex Jones. They can just say you're guilty from the start and then prevent you from speaking. And as a matter of fact, that's what's happened here. They've prevented Trump from speaking this entire time. So essentially, he's forced to just sit there and endure these personal attacks that are clearly just based in resentment and personal vendettas that they have against the billionaire alpha male that somehow threatens them in their warped worldview. And he just has to sit there and listen to these people say perverted, untrue things that are born of political ideology. But on top of that, at least with Alex Jones, he was allowed to speak, even though it was completely corrupt, and that's going to tie into point number 3 later. This judge said that he would be prevented from giving a closing argument. And this is where we see the Donald taking yet another W. These people are so infuriated by the fact that he just keeps winning. This creepy old man was trying to say that Trump couldn't give final closing remarks. To these people, they're so desperate to have their own clown circus. They want to be the masters of their own show. They want to parade Donald Trump out and say, oh, look at this animal that we have. He's an animal because he's worse than us, even though they invert reality and morality, and they're actually the perpetrators of evil. They want to say, look, we're going to prevent him from talking. We're going to loot and pillage him. We're going to parade him out in front of all these people. And meanwhile, they're the perverted freaks, and they look like this. And by the way, they weren't able to stop Trump from giving closing remarks, and he's still controlled the narrative, which they can't stand. They can't stand the fact. They think that they're equal to him. They think that they are equal in influence, or that they should be, or that America should take their side. And this is born of their arrogance and stupidity and narcissism. But of course, they're wrong. And when they get reminded that they're wrong, they're also reminded that they're frauds. But this judge's vendetta and immorality doesn't end here. This is where we see them trying to loot Donald Trump's assets, his wealth. And this is a mockery of competence. It's a mockery of capitalism, which they disdain. The reason they disdain capitalism isn't because, they're just taught to be socialists. It's far deeper than that. Marxism, the underlying philosophy of the left, actually requires them to denounce notions of meritocracy. They say that meritocracy doesn't exist. That's the reason they think that it's acceptable to think there can be equality of outcome, which they label equity. That's what DEI is. That's what diversity, equity, and inclusion is. That's what that's their motto. But you can't get there unless you substantiate a left-wing tyranny, which is what they're trying to do. They don't believe in capitalism. So when they see embodiments of capitalism, embodiments of success, embodiments of meritocracy, embodiments of excellence, which reciprocally judge their inadequacy as they deny that truth exists, that reality exists, that meritocracy exists, they get enraged by that. When they see Trump Tower, make no mistake about it, the AP News is owned by the machine. It's owned by the Matrix. They choose their thumbnails on purpose. Look at this, Trump Tower. It's their thumbnail for a reason. They are mocking the idea of objective excellence, of capitalism, of meritocracy. They want to tear it down. They don't build anything, they tear it down. They are anti-humanity. That's the reason why Elon Musk says the woke mind virus is anti-humanity. What I want you to understand is that the media would never tie these events together for you because they don't, and they would never represent this narrative because they don't want you to resist their slave mind. They don't want you to be able to resist the narrative that they want to propagate of Trump being bad, of you being bad. They want to tell you what to think. They would never show you these series of events the way I'm showing you. And as a matter of fact, they're infuriated that Twitter, now X, is a free space where you can say things that you think. Dude, if Elon Musk hadn't bought Twitter, this would not be possible. They would be censoring people just like they were doing before he bought it, and this would be impossible, and America would be in very, very serious trouble. In fact, I think that if Elon hadn't bought X, there would probably already be open revolt because of the level of tyranny that the left is trying to push on civilization right now. In 2024, their arguments are so bad, their arguments are so divorced from reality, their arguments are so nonsensical that they have no option but to say, you cannot vote or elect anyone that we disagree with because we can't debate ideas. Our ideas are so indefensible, they're so horrible that we can't explain to you why they're good and why you should vote for us. The only thing we can do is say you're a bad person unless you agree with us blindly. And that's what they're trying to do. And if Elon hadn't bought Twitter, I couldn't show this to you, and you wouldn't even be able to see this information because they would prevent you from seeing it. Just like this YouTube video, I guarantee you, is being throttled by YouTube because it doesn't align with their narrative, with their communist, Marxist narrative. But I'm not going to stop anyway. They literally cannot stop me. 739. Appraised, 25. Do they not expect you to use your brain? Do they not expect you to even look these numbers up? The answer is no, because their constituents don't care about numbers. Do you think that any person on the left is realistically talking about this? No, because they know that it's just a lie. They know that it's made up. I'm just showing you this so that you understand. They don't care about reality. As a matter of fact, they view reality itself as their enemy. To a radical leftist, reality is a greater enemy than Donald Trump. Think about that. The reason for that is because reality proves to them that they're wrong all the time, constantly. They walk down the street and see that men are taller than women, and they're like, oh my God, I've been taught in my gender studies, college class that men and women are physically the same, and I'm seeing constantly that they're not. This is discrimination. They literally view reality as oppression. I've tweeted this many times on X, more in the context of the incoherent nature of the feminist doctrine. The feminist doctrine, women in the 21st century that are raised without fathers and are taken advantage of by the feminist ideology constantly construe masculinity and objective parameters as oppression. And the reason for that is because they cannot distinguish between coherent reality and oppression. They view them as the same thing. That's why you see them at war with reality. That's why you see them blatantly saying incorrect things. Now, I'm going to show you this video. Again, no one will put this together for you, bro. The media would never put this together for you. Subscribe to the channel. So here's Donald Trump getting out. It's the same Matrix-owned, press organization that recorded this video. So understand that they selected this footage for you to view for a specific reason, and they still lost. They still can't control the narrative, and it drives them crazy. Trump getting out of his motorcade. By the way, unpopular opinion, and this might even be unpopular in the people that are conservative and on the right that are very pro-police. The Secret Service, they definitely care more about Donald than they do about Biden. And I see this all the time. The Secret Service around Biden just looks sluggish and slow. Donald Trump, it's like they are protecting the future of the world. They're expecting this to be terrible, but Trump is just owning it, bro. He's saying, I am here, I am being oppressed, but I'm going to succeed regardless. He's being martyred. They just want to loot him. They just want to pillage his wealth. They want to defame him because the people that are pulling the strings, the people that are in charge, are insanely evil. Listen how they try to spin this message.
At Donald Trump's civil fraud trial in New York City, the former president came to court and he desired to give his own closing argument in addition to those given by his lawyers. And
Listen how they try to spin it. They know that the biggest objection to them is that they're tyrants, that they're evil, that they're corrupt. And so they have to address that quickly. Tell our little ant on the ground, our little peon peasant on the ground to spin this force to control the minds of all the peasants like you.
Donald Trump ended up doing just that, even though the judge said that he couldn't speak. The judge was concerned that Donald Trump would give a campaign speech.
The judge was concerned that Donald Trump would say things that would contradict the narrative that they're trying to push. They get enraged when you believe things that they don't think you should be allowed to believe or think. The reason for this is, again, they think they should be the arbiters of truth, of virtue itself. And if you don't believe me, it's literally in the writings of Marx. They say that virtue is to be obtained through the adherence to group ideology. There's no such thing even as the individual as far as they're concerned. I'll show you just another thumbnail that I saved. Look at this. MSNBC, another Matrix-owned, obviously, propaganda network. Look at this. And they're trying to paint Trump as the corrupt, criminal, animal, deplorable enemy when he's being persecuted by them, when they are acting like tyrants, when they are attempting to remove him from the ballot in the name of democracy by ending democracy. They want to prevent you from voting for him because you don't get to decide the direction of this country. Only they get to decide the direction of this country. They don't believe in our democratic republic. Oh, and by the way, they are so resistant to the idea of making sense that instead of having better ideas, they're just going to import illegal immigrants and hope that they vote for them. You see the endless narcissism too,
no matter how
in this speech, which I'm going to show you, this 26-second pathetic show that we're seeing from this corrupt AG. I want to emphasize again how enraged they get when you see them as frauds. Nothing angers them more than you realizing they aren't the arbiters of virtue and morality that they claim to be. Because once you realize that that's not the case, then everything else falls to pieces. Then you don't accept the underlying presuppositions. You no longer accept that they are by default the good people. Under these faces which feign compassion and inclusivity and equity, which is such a tyrannical, evil doctrine, they are the worst tyrants the world has ever seen. Justin Trudeau, you have the same really fake persona, and you're seeing it here in her face. They know that they're evil. Deep down in their soul, and maybe even not that deep down, underneath this facade, they know that they are tyrants. And they're telling themselves, I'm a tyrant, but it's worth it because the people that I'm trying to gain control over are too stupid and deplorable for me to give them a voice, for me to view them as my equal. But they understand that they are tyrants.
At the end of the day, the point is simple. No matter how powerful you are.
And she's trying to cosplay as competent too, which is a very common theme with this woman, even though she's been captured saying the most incoherent, anti-intellectual statements that are totally orthogonal to reality. She's still trying to cosplay as competent, and the reason for that is because as she participates in the mockery of capitalism that they are trying to substantiate against Donald Trump in looting his wealth, she's aware of the irony. And so she's aware of the fact that she is simultaneously being judged as incompetent and without merit. And so she tries to cosplay as competent. But the result is laughable to anyone with an IQ above 110.
No matter how rich you are.
Oh, she's really trying to play to the Marxist base now. They're so unthinking.
And no one is above the law.
It's so disgusting. Brothers who killed Ethan Liming, stomped on his chest, broke his neck, and took his car at LeBron James' school, sentenced only 16 months. 2 scholars, I'm just going to call them scholars, because that's what they are, right? They're obviously future doctors. No one's above the law, and yet they were sentenced to 6 months in prison for murdering somebody. The left doesn't care about law and order. In fact, they are, dude, I mean, that's obvious. They've been running basically against law and order. They want to abolish the police. When a drug-addicted criminal was judged for being a drug-addicted criminal, they literally tried to disband the police. Like, that is their response to crime. And you see this underneath any type of viral video that goes viral for, a police shooting that is completely justified, like a criminal pulls out a gun, starts shooting at police, and then they stop him. And the comments are just like leftists completely denying reality, taking the opposite side. They are dedicated to the opposite of morality. They are dedicated to the opposite of what is true. But they actually want to destroy civilization. It's not an accident. It is by design. They want to destroy civilization, and they think that they can do that by getting rid of the notion of laws, getting rid of the notion of accountability. They hate accountability for the same reason they hate reality. Reality holds them accountable for being delusional, for being wrong constantly, and so they're upset by that. They want to get rid of any type of mechanism that holds them accountable. So they think if we can get rid of laws, if we can get rid of the sentencing, then our society will be more leftist. And of course it is, but as it becomes more leftist, then people move to Florida and Texas because they don't want to live in this terrible criminal environment.
And no one is above the law. And
So you see how much of a fraud they are right now. I just showed you how much of a fraud they are just now. That statement is fraudulent in and of itself. Any person that's able to think, though, knows this already.
the law applies to all of us.
Apparently not. Not if you're a scholar that murders people.
Equally and fairly.
Not if you're, a violent criminal in New York that just gets let out of jail because they don't want to put any criminals in jail. The reason for that is because the stats, the literal numbers themselves hold them accountable. When people get to look at, oh, wait a second, New York has the most number of violent criminals, and also there are some unpleasant statistics about the race of these criminals, it holds them accountable. They get enraged that someone can point to the statistics and say, look at how much you're a failure. So they want to get rid of that. In their mind, they'd rather have violent criminals on the street than be held accountable by someone judging them as a fraud. That's who they are. That's how divorced from morality that they are.
I trust that justice will be done.
Dude, it's literally like a cosplay. It's literally like they're faking it. How do they say these words?
And I'm confident in that.
It's just so absurd. It's like Justin Trudeau trying to act sincere. It's like,
And I'm extremely proud
of our tyrannical discrimination and persecution of people that we deem deplorable. Of course, they would be proud of this, but they would only be proud of it insofar as they think they're the arbiters of virtue. And they're, of course, not the arbiters of virtue. Oh, and by the way, in case it wasn't obvious before, they actually failed to keep Donald Trump quiet in the courtroom. He did make a final statement, and they are infuriated by this because, again, he controlled the narrative. He owned them. I'm clicking on this tweet, and the Matrix is trying to prevent me from opening this video. Look at this. It's not loading. My internet is very high speed. I don't care how long it takes. I'll cut to when I get it working. Okay, guys, the Matrix is literally trying to prevent this video from playing on my browser, so I had to use my phone instead. I'm going to play this audio and analyze it for you. They are enraged that Donald Trump can still control the narrative, that they do not control the narrative, that they are viewed as frauds, and so as a result, they are trying to prevent you from listening, but they failed, so listen.
Good afternoon. Let's remember that before I walked into court, we had already lost. That was clear with his motion for summary judgment.
That is exactly the same situation as Alex Jones. As soon as they walked into court, it was already pronounced that they were guilty. They started from a place of guilty, and they were never even proven innocent. It was guilty and then guilty. You're supposed to be considered innocent until proven guilty. That's not what it was. And that is because they think that they are by default the good guys in accordance with Marxism.
Before witnesses, before experts, and do I think any of it mattered? I certainly hope so. But for anybody that was in the courtroom for the last 11 weeks, you heard that there was not one fact against President Trump. There was not one.
They don't care about reality. They don't care about facts. And they're upset that you can even listen to this because listening to this reminds you that an objective truth exists. They don't want that to be possible. By the way, this is the voice of his lawyer speaking.
Piece of paper that showed anyone committed fraud. And don't forget that Section 6312, a consumer fraud statute, has been wrongfully used against my client, innocent defendants.
And it's wrong for the same reason that I showed you that it was wrong earlier. His estate is not worth $25 million. To replace the land alone would cost $500 million plus, $500 million. They don't care about numbers or reality at all. They only have regard for group adherence to their ideology.
The organization and every employee of the Trump Organization, which has single-handedly changed the New York skyline, including the building we are in today. These are special properties.
There it is. There it is. They have the hatred for the reminders of competence, for the reminders of capitalism. It's deep-seated. It's not an accident. It's not random. They're actually enraged by the fact that excellence judges them, that Donald Trump's ability in capitalism translates over and reminds everyone in these massive buildings with his name on it that he succeeded and that they've failed.
Real estate is an art, not a science. But you know what else is an art? You know what else isn't a science? Political motivated individuals. She's using this to paint a canvas that Donald Trump is a fraudster because they
Yeah, exactly. It is completely politically motivated. There is no regard for the law. And there you see the same mockery of objective frameworks. You see the same mockery of the notion of truth. They don't care about any of those things. They only care about demonizing their political opponents because their ideas aren't good enough to debate. Their ideas aren't good enough to convince people. They have to import illegal immigrants instead to get their vote.
can't beat him in the polls. They can't beat him in the polls, so she ran on Trump because that was the only way she could win. And now, today, after 11 weeks, after 3 years, we have concluded that he indeed committed no wrong. The Trump organization committed
There it
no
is.
wrong.
That is exactly what they didn't want you to be able to hear. That's the reason they do not want to let this video play on X. There is Matrix propaganda still in the code. There's still discrimination in the code of X, which is being uncovered constantly. I want you guys to understand that is the line they did not want to have played because they want to only have their narrative represented. They only want to have their ideas represented. They tried to silence him this entire time. They didn't want to let Trump talk. There's a reason for that. They are tyrants. They are literally tyrants who don't want you to be able to hear anything they don't want you to be able to hear, to think anything that you don't have permission to think. With that single line, they changed the narrative of all of this because Trump is more popular than this corrupt judge. He's more popular than this corrupt AG. He has the backing of hundreds of millions of people and globally billions of people. With that single line, they took control of the narrative with greater force than the judge could throughout the entire proceedings of the trial with all of his attempted symbolism and leftist discrimination. And that's the reason the judge tried to prevent him from giving his closing statement, and he failed, and they lost.
And the kids have been dragged in just like the other defendants, and it is wrong.
Right.
America needs to step up, and there's only one person who can do that.
It's all political theater, and boom, here we go.
My client, Donald Trump. President Trump, everybody.
We are seeing political discrimination in front of us, that's for sure. That is for sure, guys. So now, if you've made it this far, you understand what's going on, you understand what's driving them. You understand the truer nature of the situation that we find ourselves in. You know that they're not playing the same game of reality that you are. They don't care about truth the same way you do. They're not affected by logic or reason because they've thrown those things out with the garbage. And if you've made it this far, persevered through what YouTube definitely doesn't want you to see, then there's hope. Because not only am I resisting them, and I know the truth, but you can know it too. You can resist them. You can think logically. You can embrace truth. You can embrace objective morality. You can embrace good versus evil. And if you do that, they lose because good and truth and logic and rationality, those things win. Those things beat the things that they were designed to beat. All those thousands of years ago in Athens when Socrates derived reason, it was to transcend the soup of nonsense, the soup of falsehood. So we can beat them. Their game plan is keeping you from thinking. Their game plan is preventing you from engaging with truth so that you can't debate ideas. That's the reason why they tried to tear down free speech on the internet and why they're enraged at Elon Musk for providing it, because free speech destroys them. And now we can move on to the next layer, which is that they are prepping the stage for political looting. They are prepping the stage to take your money, to pillage you, to take your possessions, your property, and to do it in the name of compassion, to do it in the name of inclusivity, to do it in the name of leftist ideology. And they're testing the waters here. They're trying to see how much pushback they get as they do this on the largest stage possible. You think that if they believe they can take 20% of Donald Trump's net worth as a billionaire, they can't come after your property that's worth hundreds of thousands or even a couple $1 million? They fully intend to take this here. You think the wrong thing, and they're going to take away your house. You think the wrong thing, and they're going to take away your car. You think the wrong thing, and they're not going to let you go see your grandkids. No, because they control carbon credits with the globalist agenda. You're a polluter. Oh, you're an oppressor. Are you white? Well, then you're part of the white supremacist party who is pro-rationality and the patriarchy, I guess. A lot of people thought things were far-fetched in 2020, and then things got worse than anyone could possibly fathom here in America. Not even considering globally, here in America. The stage was set with Alex Jones when they said, you are guilty until proven guilty, and we are going to pillage you for $1 billion because of what you think. The attorney in that trial literally said to the jury, make an example out of him. Set an example for people that would choose to be like him. He said those words. And his message was clear. Any person that agrees with Alex Jones should meet the same fate. Any person that agrees with the opinions that we don't approve should meet the same fate of being economically wrecked, of being economically destroyed. They should be punished for thinking the wrong thing. That's what they tried to do here, and that's what they plan to do to you. Oh, you got your house appraised at $2 million? Well, guess what? We say it's only worth $100,000 because we're the arbiters of truth and virtue, by the way. And as we call ourselves the good guys, we're just gonna take away your house because you tweeted the wrong thing. You said the wrong thing. You insulted Justin Trudeau. You insulted Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You said that she's not very smart. Well, that's an offense here. Yeah, as we remove the candidate that you want to vote for on the ballot, we're also gonna take away your house because we're the virtuous group of people. That's where this is going. They've set the stage clearly, pillaging Alex Jones. It wasn't about Sandy Hook. It was about his opposition to the globalist agenda and the radical left Marxists, and they're doing it now with Donald Trump. They want to make an example out of them so that they can prove to you, so they can put the idea in your head that they can do the same thing to you. This is the reason why we have to defeat them. This is the reason why we have to prevail with reality and truth and logic and rationality and reason and objective morality. Because if we don't, then civilization will collapse. This is an existential threat to civilization, what we're dealing with here. The woke mind virus, as Elon Musk puts it, the slave mind, as Andrew Tate puts it, that's what we're combating here, guys. The bastardization of competence is also constantly there. So this is a part of the left-wing ideology. I wanted to show you this too. So this is an example of Marxism. This is an example of DEI, the equity that I referenced earlier in the video where they want equality of outcome. This is, in their idea, in their mind, equality of outcome because most pilots are men. And so to achieve equality of outcome, they have to create a lot of female pilots. And to do that, they have to discriminate. To do that, they have to subvert meritocracy. There are a lot of male pilots that aren't being promoted as fast as female pilots because they want the right kind of chromosomes and genitals in the cockpit as you're flying through a thunderstorm. And in so doing, they mock competence. In so doing, they bastardize excellence as some sort of cosplay. And Southwest Airlines has since taken this post down because they got obliterated into oblivion. They didn't want Elon to buy the platform. They just wanted to, virtue signal this to the public and say, we're the good guys. You can't do anything about it. Yeah, you're going to have to fly on our airlines as we have emotionally unstable, incompetent people flying the aircraft. It might be difficult for you to connect this with the same topic as what I just talked about, but the connection is the mockery of competence. That's what their ideology is about. The mockery of competence. Anytime they have an opportunity to subvert and invert, meaning create the opposite of. Anytime they have the ability to create the opposite of competence or the opposite of morality, they do it. It is literally good versus evil. The left has aligned themselves with pure corruption, with pure anti-intellectualism, with pure immorality. And so it has become good versus evil. When they do this, they are reminding you that they play for team evil here. They've changed the political landscape by rejecting the notion of truth and free speech and dialogue. They've changed it to good versus evil. They've changed it to people that care about objective morality that can say Hamas is terrorists and people that march in the streets chanting death to the... And they're on the left. It's good versus evil. All right, guys, if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe to the channel because we are resisting the slave mind and we are dealing damage to them in real time. Also follow me on X and on Rumble. It's the exact same name that you see here on my YouTube channel, Abraham B. Iyer. That's my real name. Follow me on X. All right, guys, let me get this video out to you.